Whoa.
What's the problem?
This
What's the matter?
This is not a Jet show.
So what?
So how about this?
Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Oh, come on. I don't want to hear this.
Why not? Super Bowl champions.
Doesn't matter. I just don't want to hear it.
What do you want to hear?
How about some Mets?
Hey, if I can find one good thing that happened to the Mets, here we go.
Home run. Mike Piazza. And the Mets lead 3-2.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be, I'm sorry. We all can't be like the Yankees.
Oh, speaking of.
This one by Mattingly. Oh, hang on to the roof. Goodbye, home run. Don Mattingly.
No. God, I can't believe I just said that. All right, well, listen. How about a little Nets?
If I have to.
Hit the jumper to win it. He got it.
I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. It's been a second. I can't take it. How about some Knicks?
Oh, yeah, big spenders. Can't win a playoff.
Fair enough.
Houston pops out up top, down the lane, running jumper off the front rim, and in.
I guess we should talk a little hockey, no?
People even watch hockey anymore?
They watch the Rangers.
Well, if you have the Rangers, you gotta have some violence.
Yeah, no, they didn't have a YouTube in the 80s.
All right, let's get the show started.
Here we are, polar opposites. Hello and welcome to the Polar Opposites Sports Podcast. I am, of course, Matt Stevens. Alongside me, as always,
is Craig Moffitt.
Craig.
Matty, how you doing today, man?
Oh, man, I'm doing fantastic. I just worked. It's great. I just stocked shelves at a grocery store for 8 hours. So, who isn't living the greatest life they've ever lived? You can follow us on Twitter at PolarOppo, on Instagram at PolarOppoPod. That's also where you can get us on the old YouTube, the Polar Oppo Pod. Craig was able to do a show today because he got pulled from a hockey playoff game. Craig does play-by-play for some local hockey. What is that like? What league is it?
It's the USPHL, the PAL Junior Islanders. It's kids like 18 to 21 years old, I would say.
All right.
And, the main purpose is for them to try to get recruited by college.
There you go.
And it's funny too because there's so many colleges that I've never heard of that have actually pretty decent hockey teams. They just don't play Division I like NCAA, like Division III and all that stuff. And they recruit and they do a pretty good job, man. The kids work their ass off, and it's been awesome. So the Junior Islander team is in the playoffs right now. They won their first game last night. If they win today, they move on to the next round it's called the Deneen Cup. And I don't know who they play. I don't know if they're going to play or where they play the games, but
after Johan Deneen.
I was going to say old school Hartford Whalers like Kevin Deneen and
probably more that like that.
Yeah. But it's honestly, man, it's been a dream. It's been awesome to do. And when we got into broadcasting in a way, I never thought I'd be broadcasting games, calling play-by-play. And when I did hockey, my first game I was like a deer in headlights because it was so fast-paced. It was tough to keep up with. It really was. And it was about learning, the penalties when the ref calls a penalty, and all that stuff. And then over time, I just got into it so much more and more, and I love it. I'm so appreciative of the opportunity. I can't wait till next season.
When I was in Wisconsin working at the country music station, I did play-by-play for high school sports with the radio. Yeah? Well, I did color. One of the sales guys did play-by-play. He was very good, actually. And it was fun. Now, I started out with baseball, so less fast-paced and more slow-paced, so much easier to do. But anyway, we digress. We got a lot to get to in a short amount of time. We got about an hour here for you today. We're going to hit around a couple different things around the NFL, a little MLB, of course, in case you missed it, anything else that comes up, because, Gwyneth Paltrow's on trial, Utah. So who knows what the hell's going on in the world. I don't know if you saw the memes going around, but apparently she dressed I think it was Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right.
The glasses she was wearing. And it's it's just not really a good look for court. You know what I mean? It just isn't. So yeah. So where do you want to start? Let's start with the NFL. Yeah. NFL.
Yeah, we can start with the NFL. Draft is about a month away, give or take. And free agency's pretty much calmed down quite a bit. Mm-hmm. All the big free agents have signed. So a lot of the lesser tier guys, but the crazy thing about it too, is that there's a lot of good free agents still out there. I mean, I was looking at a big board the other day from one of the beat writers, and certain positions obviously better than others.
Right.
But there's definitely a lot of good, like talented players that I'm surprised are either still not signed yet, and you can anticipate cuts after June 1st.
Right.
So it's, I mean, free agency is going to be a very continuous process.
It is.
So,
You're getting a lot of the like the depth guys, the invited to camp guys right now for contracts. The one I want to talk about specifically though is the one that seems the most contentious right now. And there's always seems to be one, right? There always seems to be one contract in the NFL that's contentious, whether it's Le'Veon Bell, where somebody's always threatening to hold out, blah blah blah.
yeah.
We don't think it's Saquon Barkley. We think that they're eventually going to come to terms on a long-term contract. And to be completely honest with you, Saquon Barkley would be stupid not to do it. And I don't mean that to say that he's stupid, but you can take a gamble on yourself, but it's a little bit easier if you're Aaron Judge to do that than if you're Saquon Barkley, because the sport you play is so much more brutal for the position you play.
Yeah, but you know what's kind of weird about Matt is that, like, I think he's lost leverage because I haven't seen a rush of running backs, and they're not signing for big money.
No, but I think that the Giants would sign him at what they offered him originally, which I think was like $11 million a year, or 11 or 12.
Like, I don't know what he's looking for right now, but I don't think he's going to get it anyway. I think he's going to have to take, like, could be like you said, what the Giants are offering him right now.
That's still better than the minimum. That's better than the what do you call it? The franchise tag. It's better than the franchise tag. He'd be making more. It would just be less of a cap hit for the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he wants Christian McCaffrey money. He's never going to get Christian McCaffrey money. But of course, he has to ask for that, right? You have to ask for it. It's how negotiations work, right?
It's like I said in Scarface. You go high, I go low, like kind of thing. You meet right in the middle, and everybody gets.
And that's usually how it works, right? You come in with what your dream amount is. They come in with what their dream amount is, and you meet somewhere in the middle in the like purgatory.
Mm-hmm.
The one I want to talk about is Lamar Jackson.
This is a weird situation on a few levels because
I don't think he wants to be there anymore, man.
Well,
I hear a lot of reports. He just doesn't want to be there anymore.
I was thinking about this the other day because you're getting a lot of different angles on the Lamar Jackson deal. Okay. Number one, there was a report that the Ravens offered him a 3-year, fully guaranteed contract for $133 million, which would have paid him over $40 million a year, and he turned it down.
Right.
So my guess is he's looking for more of the years, kind of like what Russell Wilson got, kind of what Kyler Murray got. I think he's looking for, I think it's more years than it is.
No, he wants the Deshaun Jackson contract. He wants all that guaranteed money.
But those guys sign like 5 or 6 year deals, and I think that's what he's looking for.
I mean,
in a way, I don't blame him, but at the same time, I could also understand he's 26 years old. He signs a 3-year contract for $133 million, over $40 million a year. All the money's guaranteed. He can be a free agent in 3 more years, and then probably bank more money after that if he lives up to the contract.
But if you're Lamar Jackson and you are responsible for 80% of the offense, 90% of the offense, right? Like, he's responsible for more of his offense than any other quarterback. You would agree with that, right? Like, I know all quarterbacks are responsible, but he's responsible for more because of all the running and all the other stuff.
Well, the Ravens are a very one-dimensional offense because all they really do is run the football, and they run it with him. They run it with J.K. Dobbins. They run it with Gus Edwards.
Right.
And then the only really legitimate receiving threat they really have is Mark Andrews.
And that's my point. So if you're Lamar Jackson, yeah, you might want to take the contract, but are you going to take that contract knowing the weapons that you have when you could conceivably go somewhere else where there are weapons that are already in place, right? Where you could actually, maybe you don't have to run 200 times a year and get beat up so bad. Maybe you could become a wee bit more of a pocket passer, that sort of thing. Because
but there's a few other.
He's got to make that transition. He can't play like this forever if he wants to play into his 30s.
Exactly. And here's the crazy thing again about the Ravens is that the Ravens really haven't, we brought this up last week on In Case You Missed It, where it was, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago when the receiver, Bateman, was criticizing the GM when the GM basically was just saying, oh, we've tried and it just hasn't worked out or whatever.
Right.
And the thing is, they really haven't done anything to make the wide receiver room better in Baltimore. They made their first acquisition 2 days ago when they signed Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar is not going to really be an impact player for the Baltimore Ravens, and it doesn't really scare opposing defenses. So then it becomes, I can understand why Lamar may be pissed off because it looks like they're not really doing what they should be doing.
Well, listen, Aguilar will have an impact on dropping passes. Like that's what he does. He drops passes.
He'll catch the occasional deep one.
Right.
But other than that, he is no better than what they currently have, which should frustrate the hell out of Lamar Jackson because he's not going to be able to do it on his own. And then the crazy part about it too, Matt, and I thought about this yesterday, is do the Ravens really believe in Lamar Jackson at this point to be the guy to take them to a Super Bowl? Because I feel like if they did, this would all be kind of a moot point and he'd already be signed by now. So I think what they're doing is they want to see what teams are going to offer. And then I think they're going to try to match it. But then I'm saying to myself, why drag this out for as long as you are, unless you really just don't believe in the guy? Because he missed 7 games last year.
Yeah.
He missed a few games. I think he missed at least 4 or 5 the year before that.
Yeah.
It caters to what you just said about how he's carrying the offense by himself. So his body's going to start breaking down more because it's all going to be on his shoulders to carry the load because no one else is going to be able to help him.
Here's what I think. I think that I don't think it's that they don't believe in him anymore. I think it's that they don't believe that he's going to have Tom Brady, Eli Manning, or whoever, put longevity quarterback in there, right? A guy who's going to play until he's 35. And forget about 40. Forget about 45. Like, forget about all that for a second. I'm talking about 35 years old. Like Cam Newton is going to a pro day at Auburn or went to a pro day at Auburn because nobody will sign him. Like, that's Cam Newton, dude. That's Cam Newton.
We'll talk about that later.
But I mean, like, it's crazy.
These quarterbacks are breaking down a lot sooner and their careers are ending sooner because the wear and tear on their legs on quarterback options, quarterback draws, quarterback, counters or whatever it is, it's taking its toll. And that's why he missed 7 games this year.
But the other thing too is, and I can see this happening very quickly, is the idea that like we've gone now to the mobile quarterback, right? The mobile quarterback is a thing, right? More quarterbacks are mobile than that.
Rollout quarterback more than anything. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
So when you get to that, I think once you see all these injuries, right? What's going to happen is you're going to go back to the more pocket passer, maybe with athleticism, right? More like the like Randall Cunningham type deal, right? Where the guy was super mobile and could make guys miss, but he wasn't a running quarterback. He would run when the protection broke down and that sort of thing. Lamar
he ran when needed. He ran when needed, whereas quarterbacks like Kyler Murray, Lamar, Deshaun Watson, they have plays designed for them to run.
But you can add Jalen Hurts to that. You can add Eli.
To
that. I mean, like, and that's what scares me is it's not the play breaks down, I get 20 yards on a broken play. Like, that's what Mahomes does, right? That's where Mahomes excels. But they don't do read option with Mahomes.
No.
You know what I mean? They don't do that because they're not crazy. Now, real quick, Lamar, so let's go back 2019. He played 15 games. 2020 played 15 games. I think they just sat him the last week because they had 13 wins and 11 wins. Then he played 12 2021 and 12 and 22.
I remember his postseason numbers being good 2 years ago, but I don't really remember too well.
I mean,
the Titans and I think they beat the Titans actually.
The problem is that like using his playoff numbers is hard because he's literally like, it's like the Bill Belichick thing, right? Like if you take away the best player, like and their best player. Now most teams, hopefully best player is a quarterback, but in their case, it's the double best player, right? It's not like with a certain team, you can like rely on the running game. No, he is the running game. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy. So I think it's more longevity that they're worried about, which is why you're getting, in fact, if I was them, I'd be like 3 years, 150 million, like just throw crazy money at him for short contracts. If you're worried about the injuries, right? Like do that.
And that's the thing that should be that should kind of be the changing of the guard now when it comes to contracts. I'll give you a perfect example. You see how baseball, it either is a 13-year deal for $300 something million, but the AAV is low, or in the event, I'll use the Mets as an example, for a player like Verlander, who signed for 2 years at $84 million. It's a very short-term window, but the AAV is very high.
Right.
And I think you're kind of going to see that. And I think the Ravens want to kind of follow that model because I don't think they want to commit to him for that long. And right now, there isn't a team out there. Now, let me rephrase that. It's not that I don't think there's a team that needs a quarterback, but there's a team, no team right now is willing to go after him. There was a story, maybe the Colts might be a team that was interested.
Right.
But the Colts really going to give up a top 5 pick right now to the Ravens? I mean, they're going to give up 2 first-round picks. And, of course, you could throw the Jets in there. You could throw the Arizona Cardinals in there, although Kyler Murray's probably going to miss most of the season.
They're paying Murray too much money. You can't do that. They'd have to trade Murray in the deal.
I mean, the problem, too, is, a team like Denver could use a quarterback, but they're committed to Russell Wilson. There's a lot, the Titans are a team that could be a possibility.
There are 2 teams in my head that Lamar would want to go to, right? Like, he's not going to Houston, right?
No.
Like, he's not going to a crappy team, right? Like, he's just not doing that. So you can forget about that for a second. But there are 2 teams where I could see that it would work, and they're both in the AFC East, and that's the Dolphins and the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, well, what about Tua? Look, man, I like Tua, and I like watching him play in that offense. He was great last year when he was healthy in that offense. But those 3 concussions, like, you can't, like, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows?
The thing is, I really think I still think they did Tua dirty. Just putting him out there.
No, man, I'm sorry. I can't say that after he told me the first injury was a back injury. You have to be your biggest advocate if you're a player. You have to, especially if you're Tua. Like, you're not some guy off the bench who's trying to make the team. You're the starting freaking quarterback. If you come out and you say, dude, I feel woozy, your coach is going to sit you, because the quicker they sit you, the quicker you get back. Right. So, like, I put.
Here's the thing about Tua. They've already picked up his 5th-year option.
No, and they
now, granted, I mean, that doesn't mean a hell of a whole lot, because if they have a tough season this year, they could probably just trade him if they really wanted to. If Tua makes it through the season alive and has the 5th-year option, teams will trade for that, because it's probably going to be a lot less. If you're not in a position to draft a quarterback at the top of the draft, then you would settle for something like that, because it might cost you like $20-something million.
Right.
Whereas that's less than what a lot of quarterbacks are making in the NFL right now. And Tua is still a serviceable quarterback. I just get concerned that if this guy takes one more shot to the head, his career is over. I think his career is pretty much done.
Yes. But here's also what I'll say is, I think those 2 teams are 2 teams that can go the next 2 years without a first-round pick and it not really kill them.
Yeah,
right?
I would agree with that. I mean,
a lot of young talent. The Dolphins have, the Dolphins are set at like wide receiver. They're set at defense. They're set on a lot of different positions. So, like, you could go 2 years without having a first-round pick if you're the Jets, especially since the next year first-round pick, you hope, is like 28, 29, 30. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, the only thing I would say with the Dolphins is that you may run into a bit of a wall if you have to pay Lamar. You're already paying Tyreek Hill. You may run into a wall if you have to pay Jalen Waddle.
You know how NFL contracts work. Come on. Somebody will shift some money here and ziggity and they get over here, and all of a sudden they have cap room. Look at the friggin' Eagles, man. All I hear about the Eagles is they have the most dead cap money in all of football. Yet they're still signing every friggin' person in the world, man. It is crazy.
Matt, the amount of restructuring that took place right before free agency with teams.
Oh, it's crazy.
So many teams were restructuring. And I mean, like, somehow the Saints were able to restructure money just to pay Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Like, they found a way to restructure like 10 contracts to pay Derek Carr. The Dolphins restructured Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb just to get Jalen Ramsey. The thing, like, teams just figure out a way. The problem is you're basically kicking the can down the road when you're doing that, because you're going to have to pay for it later. But right now you're in the window. I mean, if you're able to do it, you're in the window. You might as well do it.
I'll say this. I really wish the players union had the power to get rid of the salary cap, because it's quite possibly the dumbest thing in the world in football. When you consider the amount of money that these teams make off the TV contracts alone, It's billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. And I get it. They're all worried about Jerry Jones and all the billionaires that are up there because you got Walmart owning the Denver Broncos now. You had, Napoleon owning the Commanders until he sells them. Bezos is probably going to buy the Seahawks. So you're going to have billionaires all over the place. Then the smaller market teams are like, oh, I can't compete with that. But here's the thing is you can. You can because it's not baseball. You're not the Tampa Bay Rays in Minnesota. You're the Yankees in Minnesota because you get the same amount of money as the Giants and the Pats and the.
But I always think it's by choice. I think when you're an owner of a team, if you really want to put money in the team, you'll do what you have to do.
Right, but the problem is the salary cap. So then you get this nonsense where you have to restructure every two years of nonsense and all this crap. Just get rid of it.
Man, the loopholes in these contracts are fascinating. They're absolutely fascinating because you can get out of a guy's contract in a year and take like a $3 million cap hit.
Well, listen, it's much less stringent than the NHL salary cap, which is bonkers with what the Rangers had to do a couple of weeks ago, where they're like had to sit 2 players because they were like capped out when they got.
That's not even the worst. You know what the worst one is? Like a team like the Arizona Coyotes, who don't really spend money on any players.
Right.
They have to meet. There's such a thing as a cap floor.
Good.
That they have to meet. So I think if I remember right, one team at the trade deadline made a trade for Shea Weber, defenseman who's basically retired, but he has so much money left because he signed this lucrative contract with the Minnesota Wild. So now this is like, I always call it like the Keith Van Horn contract. It just gets traded around just to help teams get to the floor. So that's it. Like Arizona, just all they have to do is just get to the floor. They don't have to do anything else. They have a minimum that they have to spend on their salary cap. So what they're doing is taking on a player that doesn't exist in the NHL anymore because he's injured, like permanently, like he's just done.
Right.
And that's what they do. But the only other thing I'm going to say about the Lamar stuff, and I felt ESPN was trying to play the race card a bit, and I just couldn't see it. Because I think about all the contracts that guys like Kyler Murray, guys like Deshaun Watson got, guys like Russell Wilson got, and I can't really fall in line with the way that the Lamar Jackson situation, because I don't think it's a race issue as much as it is I just don't think the Ravens really believe in him. I just don't think that they're comfortable matching the type of contract that Kyler Murray and Deshaun Watson got at the end of the day.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is the last quarterback to get paid is like the whitest guy in the world. That's what they look at. Daniel Jones. So they say, well, Lamar Jackson, but here's the thing, folks. The Ravens would run to that contract signing. They would run there. If Lamar Jackson signed the Daniel Jones contract, the Ravens would they would pay
like a 2 years. What is the contract at the end of the day? Like, I know what it is. Is it like 2 years, 80 million, right? Or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with collusion. I don't think it has anything to do with race. I just think that there are teams who think it's a lost cause offering him something because they think the Ravens are going to match it. But at the same time, I don't know if the Ravens really, really, really believe in him to be the franchise quarterback.
Right.
And I'm sure now all the injuries are starting to kind of get in their head. Like, this guy missed 7 games last year. But then again, that's the Ravens' fault because they didn't really build a good passing attack to kind of take the pressure off his legs.
Listen,
it's going to burn them.
It's going to be interesting what happens with everybody with the franchise tag. So we'll keep abreast of that situation going on. Nothing else is going on with the Jets. We hear talks have stalled. That's what I keep hearing, which is weird because all these big name reporters kept telling me like a week and a half ago that the deal was done. We're just waiting on Aaron Rodgers. The deal is done, Craig. It's done. Deal, boom, done. We're just waiting on Aaron Rodgers to come out of the dark room. And
I'll be really honest. There has been so many fucking conflicting reports.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
All week, I've had enough. I'm like mentally fried. It's like Schefter says one thing, and then the other day he says something totally different.
Let me ask
this guy comes out of left field and then says something totally different. Go.
If you're the Jets, do you offer Lamar Jackson a contract?
If I got frustrated to the point where it was just like, okay, you're just being a fucking douche, then yeah, I might.
And it's not like this is not Aaron Rodgers. We're actually not blaming Aaron Rodgers for this one. Like,
No.
this is not Aaron Rodgers.
Like, listen, Joe Douglas, I love him as a general manager. Do I think he's overrated by the Jet fan base? I do. I think he's had some stinkers, but I think he's also built what I like is I think he's built a decent foundation.
Yeah.
Which is something the Jets haven't had in years through the draft.
Shockingly, he seems to not be able to find a good offensive lineman, which is so odd.
You know what it is though, too, Matt? And I hate playing this card. I really freaking hate playing it because I think it's such a cop-out. But last year alone, they lost 7 offensive linemen to injury.
No, I know.
You know, and like outside of Elijah Vera Tucker was a very good lineman last year until he got hurt in the Denver game. I thought Nate Herbig, who they had gotten as a UDFA, wound up actually being a pretty decent lineman, but they lost him in the offseason because they're going to have Vera Tucker back next year and they're going to have Laken Tomlinson as the other guard. And Laken Tomlinson struggled last year. But I also think that he could be due for a bounce back season.
Anyway, we digress.
Right now, I would say I don't know really what to say at this point because I'm just hearing like so many different reports, and it's like, and I just don't know what to believe. The other day, a report came out that Ezekiel Elliott was down to the Jets, Eagles, and Bengals, and I had not heard a peep from any Jet beat writer that said the Jets are in on Zeke
and Odell. Apparently, they just need to come to a contract. They just need to come to a contract, and Odell's going to be a Jet.
Well, I think it's a little bit different. I think Odell's waiting for the Rodgers trade to go through. That's what I think.
Here's what I think. If I'm the Jets right now, I just offer Lamar a contract, knowing he won't accept it, but just to show the Packers that I'm willing to do it.
Yeah,
and maybe they come back to the table. And
what is Watson getting a year now? Like I know it was like a 5-year deal or something like that when he signed it, or was it?
I think it was, yeah,
like a 5 or 6 year deal, right? See, I would give Lamar a 5-year deal. Like he's 26.
Oh, is he still on his rookie deal? No.
Lamar is an unrestricted free agent right now. No, he's a restricted free. He's an exclusive rights free agent.
Right.
That's the 2 first round picks.
So here's the crazy part about this whole situation. I don't blame anybody. Actually, the only people I blame are the media here. And I'm not a blame the media guy. I like the media. I think we need the media. But the media has been telling us for weeks that this is a done deal, and all of a sudden it's not a done deal. And keep in mind here, I do not blame either GM here, because if you're either GM, you're trying to either not give up a ton or you're trying to get a ton. And so I don't mind you trying to do that. And I don't mind the talk stalled. What I mind is that the people who told the people that the talks were done and that everything's done and we're just waiting on Aaron Rodgers. To me, when Aaron Rodgers came out and said, I want to play for the Jets, the next day it should have been Aaron Rodgers is traded to the Jets because the fucking deal was already done.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know like the season.
Listen, you know what it is, Matt? It's the bigger dick. It's the bigger dick theory. Like who has the bigger dick out of Joe Douglas or this other guy or Gutekunst, whatever his name is.
Or the entirety of Lambeau Field. What do you call it? Green Bay.
But I'm just saying that like that's just pretty much what it is right now. That's why we're having this standoff. And it could drag out for a few weeks, but before you know it, the draft is right around the corner and OTAs are right around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah.
OTAs, before we even get to rookie minicamp, OTAs, I think, start some teams, I think it's the middle of April.
It's going to be really awkward when Zach Wilson's running the OTAs for the Jets, isn't it?
But at the end of the day, though, you already know he's not going to be the starter.
I know he's not going to be the starter, but it's going to be awkward. He's going to be thrown to like guys who are.
Let me ask you a question. If Rodgers was here right now, would Rodgers really be at OTAs?
I think he would this year.
You think so?
Yeah, new team. You're trying to impress. You got to learn the offense. Now I know it's a Hackett offense already. He knows it, but you got to get in tune with the wide receivers. Next year, no, he's not going. I think he would go this year. I really do.
And here's the other thing I'll say too. Remember last week you asked me if Saleh and Douglas don't get to the playoffs, are they fired?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, probably. I think the way this is being built right now, it's a 2-year window. So I actually think that Saleh and Douglas will be back next year.
Okay.
Because I don't think, unless Rodgers retires after a year, which I don't really think he's going to do. I actually think he'll play 2 years, and I think after the 2 years, he'll probably call it.
What if it's a debacle, though?
See, I don't think it's going to be, though. I don't.
Listen, it's football, man. Crazy shit happens all the time.
I mean, listen, I don't see the way I look at it. It was funny because you and I in the past would always talk about a guy like Beckham, right? And the one thing you and I both agreed on was that Beckham was the type of guy that did we think sometimes his antics were a bit much? Yes. But we also thought he got a bad rap on a lot of stuff.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like in the one story we always talked about when we were doing Polar Opposites back in the day was the boat trip.
Yeah.
Remember the boat trip? When they all took a picture of themselves with no shirt on. It was like during the week of the
talking about the fucking boat trip. Like still talking.
But Maddie, why were we talking about the boat trip that day? Because Beckham was in that picture. Everyone else got a pass but Odell.
Yeah.
And that's what set Giant fans off. That because Giant fans had gotten tired of his shit. And then they saw that and they just like flipped out. And you know what the crazy part was? It had nothing to do with that game because the Giants dominated that first half.
Yeah.
They completely dominated that first half, and then they played like shit in the second half and they lost.
Didn't they give up the Hail Mary at the end of the first half of that game? Was that game? Or am I thinking of a different game?
It might have been. I don't remember from a while ago. It'll get done. I think the Elijah Moore trade this week, which got the Jets back in the second round, is kind of, I think it helps the Jets a little bit. I liked Elijah Moore. Don't get me wrong. I thought he had potential to be a good player.
You don't need him.
But I think the minute he threw that temper tantrum after the Denver game when they were on like a 4 or 5 game winning streak,
right?
I think it set off the management. I think they were just really pissed about it. And with all due respect, right now, even without Elijah Moore, I actually think their receiving core is pretty decent.
Oh yeah, where the hell's he going to play?
Yeah, I mean he's gonna. And I said this too, and I was like, he's going to lose targets. Like he's definitely losing targets to Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, even a guy like Uzama and Conklin, because if Rodgers comes there, he loves throwing to tight ends, and McCole Hardman. He's going to lose targets either way you look at it. So there's no point. You might as well just ship him out. I mean, whether he plays well in Cleveland, that's another story. But I think getting that second round pick back, and again, you see, I don't have a problem trading 13, Matt. I don't.
I know.
Especially now that I have pick 42 and 43. I could spin that.
You're probably going to have to spend one of those too.
If I'm giving up 13, probably not. I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I could see possibly a 4th this year, and then next year, maybe like a conditional 2nd that becomes a 1st. But I think it's going to be contingent on whether he plays or not. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. Unfortunately, we're going to have to keep waiting because apparently it's not as done a deal as everyone told us it was.
Gotta love the media, right, Maddie?
Oh,
Anybody with a pulse now has like the inside story because they always post shit on Twitter and everything like that. And everybody's always got something to say, and they just try to put a new wrinkle into it. The other day it was Robert Griffin III reporting that, the young players on the Jets are pissed off because, they traded Elijah Moore. But like, come on. I mean,
you don't get Rodgers unless you do it. Like,
give me a break. It's like, you bitched and moaned all last year about the quarterbacks, and like we're on the verge of landing a Hall of Fame quarterback, and you're still fucking bitching. I mean,
it never, ever changes. You're listening to Polar Opposites. We're live right now on YouTube and on Spreaker. If you just want to do audio only, you can get us also wherever you get your podcasts. That's Google Podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts. That's we're on Spotify, all the places you get your podcast. Check us out, Polar Opposites. I'm Matt. He's Craig, as always. And we're just going to continue on the injury concern front because, it's the Yankees. It's spring training.
It's New York.
Which means there has to be another injury that we're talking about here. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to sound crazy, but see if you can follow my logic here, which can be difficult at times because I am weird. Certain injuries scare me more than others because I feel like certain injuries always start out as mild or light or a slight strain, whatever you want to call it, and then end up being like, he needs like a shoulder surgery or some shit like that, right? Like calf, right? Whenever I hear calf, I just expect 3 months. Just sit out 3 months. Like it just will make like so much easier because it's always starts out as, oh, it's just a light strain. And then like 3 weeks later, it's like, oh, still a light strain. Well, apparently it wasn't that light then, was it? You know what I mean? So it leads to other things. And the latch strain of Severino scares me a little bit because, first of all, he has an injury history. Like, he hasn't pitched really in 3 years or 2-3 years.
Tommy John, right? He had Tommy John a few years ago.
And then he had last year he had some like, nicks and knacks going on and stuff like that. So it's a light latch strain. They're like, he probably will start the season on the IL. Remember what it used to be called the DL? I miss the DL, the down low, the disabled.
I still call it the DL. I don't call it.
I know. I get why they changed it. I do. I understand because they're not disabled. They're injured. So it is different. But it's still, the DL was way better. But anyway, so he's probably going to start the year on the IL. And that's 3 now of the 5. That's 3 of the 5 that you had. And when Rodon went down, I was like, it's okay. It'll only be a couple months. When Montas went down, I was like, he's the 5th starter. It's not the big deal. We can fill that hole anyway. Now it's the 3rd starter. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
Okay. So who's left? Well, besides Cole and besides Cortez. I'm assuming Clark Schmidt will be one of the pitchers.
Yeah, right? You're talking about Clark Schmidt. You're talking about all those guys. Like, it's just that same rotating, oh my God, I can never remember his name. The dude that hit his girlfriend.
Oh, Bauer?
No. I think it's like Japan.
Wait. I'm sorry. It was consensual.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that dude, it'll be a bunch of different guys. And like, fine. Look, if you're going to have injuries to your pitchers, the beginning of the season is the best time to do it because there's all these built-in off days. And so, like, a lot of times you don't need to use a 5th starter for the first couple weeks and that sort of thing. So you can get away with it. But at the same time, like, son of a bitch, like, what is going on, man? Like, what the hell? Like, what the actual hell is going on?
Listen, I understand that you're down 3 pitchers. It still doesn't beat the fact that your closer is not out for the year because he was freaking celebrating a win over the Dominican Republic.
I mean, let's be fair. And I'm going to say this right now. That injury was going to happen no matter what. Because if it happened like that, it was going to happen. Did you know what I mean?
You think so?
Yeah. Like, there's no way. Like,
just like high-fived each other and walked to the dugout like normal when after a win.
Yeah, but like, no, just, wasn't it? Was it his left leg? Or is it?
I forgot. I saw an interview in the Athletic with a pitcher. I don't know if he's retired or not, but he said, I think he said it's a good thing it's not his kick leg because that would have been 10 times worse. It's the
because it's not the plant leg, it's the push off leg.
So he said, so go ahead.
No, but you're telling me that, like, fielding a ground ball, jumping off the mound, you know what I mean? Like, pushing off 100 times a year or 100 times in a week when you're doing practice, like, it just shattered when somebody like jumped up on his shoulders. Like, so that it wasn't strong to begin with. Let me just put it that way, right? There had to be some weakness in there for it to shatter like that because we see guys do that celebration all the time and nothing ever happens. In fact, I've seen it in the NFL with a 300-pound lineman and like a 200-pound wide receiver.
Not a 100-pound, not a 140-pound soaking wet kicker like Bill Gramatica.
Well, yeah, but that was one of the greatest things of all time. So look, it sucks, and they're just going to have to fill the holes, right? Because they're not going to make
it. But here's the problem: at this late in the series, the season starts this week. If you even try to go for a pitcher right now, you're going to get squeezed. I mean, you're not going to give a Volpe or Dominguez, of course, but I'm not really sure who else is left in like the middle part of their farm system that they can package to get another pitcher. So there was a report that surfaced last week that the Brewers and Corbin Burns were at a standstill with an arbitration hearing and that he wasn't very happy. So he might ask for a trade and the Yankees can move right in.
Did you hear why he wasn't happy?
I didn't read all the details. All I heard was that he was unhappy with the Brewers and he might request a trade. That's
apparently every time he missed a ground ball, he had to do 20 sit-ups, and his contract specifically states that he doesn't have to do any calisthenics. He doesn't.
That's right. And Craig Counsell threw it on the floor, the middle of the field, and peed on it, right?
Yeah.
In Major League.
Yeah, it's exactly that same scene.
Or did Craig Counsell tell Corbin Burns like, "Come on, Dorn, get in front of the ball. Don't give me this Olay bullshit."
I love that guy, man. That's one of the great managers. So look, there's nothing to be done. They're just gonna have to fill holes with guys from the minor leagues. They're gonna have to go. They're gonna have to have openers. They're gonna have to do all that crap and hope and pray to whatever God you believe in, whatever entity you believe in, that Cole and Nestor don't get hurt.
The good thing, here's the thing about the Yankees, though, and I think you can agree with me. They always seem to start out slow, even with a good rotation, but then they just get hot. And then once they get hot, they're freaking unbeatable. I mean, like,
hopefully,
in spurts, because their offense is still legitimate. I mean, luckily they're not losing any position players to injury right now.
No,
but
we'll see. But I think here's the thing, Craig. To finish here, because we don't really talk about this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like at a certain point, like you got to stop counting on Severino. And he pitches, and it's great. But I can't count on you being there all the time. I just can't.
I mean, he only signed the good news is the money that he's being paid is not that bad. It's
like
not
years.
Yeah. So you could probably move on from it next year if you just feel like you're not getting a good return on the investment because of all the injuries.
Right.
But, I think the Yankees, they're going to struggle, a little bit. This is where a guy like Clark Schmidt, who I heard about so many times last year, to keep filling spots in the rotation, he's going to have to step up his game because he's going to be a number 3. And then after that, I don't know where they're going to go. Is it Michael King, who just came off did he have Tommy John, Michael King?
No, he
break his leg or something like that?
Broke his arm.
Broke his arm?
Pitching? He threw a pitch, and I think his arm or his leg. I can't remember which one.
Here's a weird question right now. Do you think the Yankees at any point will have to do a bullpen game?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I think they're good with that to a certain extent. And I don't think they're going to put Michael King. Michael King was too good as a reliever last year. He's a reliever now. He was too good. And you can try and stretch him out again, but then you're just going to waste time. So there's starters in the
you have Loizaga for the bullpen. You have Marinaccio for the bullpen. You have Clay Holmes for the bullpen. Your bullpen is still pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just you just last year they just all got injured at the wrong time. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes that's the way it goes. All right, Craig, you ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, we're ready. I'm definitely ready. Are you ready? Is the question.
Always.
All right, as always, we close out this week's episode of Polar Opposites with In Case You Missed It. 6 topics, anything goes, all opinions legal, all opinions matter. Isn't that right, Maddie?
No, it's definitely not right. Matter? No.
Let me rephrase that. All opinions matter, but no. That's
my opinion matters, nobody else does. You ready?
Are you kidding me?
Ho!
All right, let's get started. Number 1, as we mentioned a little earlier in the show, Cam Newton threw this past Tuesday at Auburn's Pro Day in order to garner some interest from NFL teams looking for quarterback help. Newton is 34 years old and has been unsigned for over a year. He chose to throw at the Pro Day because he believes there aren't 32 NFL QBs, quote, better than him. Cam was last with the New England Patriots, where he admitted to struggling picking up the Pats offense and returned to Carolina before becoming a free agent. If he's looking to be a backup, should teams take a chance on Cam Newton?
It depends on what kind of offense you run. If you run an offense where Cam Newton fits in, yeah, you should. But he shouldn't be a backup in Kansas City. Like Buffalo would probably be a great place for him to be a backup, right? Something like that, where you get to run the ball a lot and that sort of thing. But it's got to be very specific. Maybe Seattle, maybe something like that. Maybe Denver, maybe something like that. I don't know, but it's got to be very specific for Cam. He just can't be the backup for any team.
Okay, I don't know what offense he would be like. Obviously, he's not a running quarterback like he used to be, and not at 34. So he's going to be relying more on his arm. His Pro Day, the throwing was very hit and miss. He hit some guys, but missed guys badly.
Like his career.
If there was one team right now that I could say if they just wanted to have a starter to get them through, I would say Arizona, because you don't know when Kyler Murray is going to be back. Your team's going to suck anyway. So why not just go with Cam Newton and see if he can try to revitalize his career in Carolina?
That would have to be an NFL record for greatest height disparity between starting and backup quarterback, right? Because Cam's 6'4", right? Cam's a big-ass dude.
I don't want to say Cam Newton's taking dumps bigger than Kyler Murray, but, you never know.
He definitely could.
But, Arizona would probably be a good spot.
Yeah.
I don't think Houston. I don't think Indianapolis. Those teams don't, they're already going to draft quarterbacks. You'd be surprised. Maybe Miami as a backup to Tua may not be a bad move. But again, it just depends on how teams see him and how he views himself.
Yeah.
If he views himself as a starter, he's going to find it very difficult finding a job. If he wants to just get back into the NFL, then I think you could do a lot worse at backup quarterback than Cam. All right, number 2, former Vikings receiver Adam Thielen will join the Carolina Panthers on a 3-year contract. Thielen was released by the Vikings in a cap-cutting move and claims the Broncos and Cowboys were interested in signing him. But he chose Carolina because it, quote, felt like a place that seriously had a chance at winning a Super Bowl, end quote. Thielen hasn't had a 1,000-yard season since 2018 and finished last season with 716 yards and 6 touchdowns for the Vikings. Maddie, do you think Adam Thielen is serious about the Panthers' chances of winning a Super Bowl? I'll take that as a no.
Like, come on, man. We're not stupid idiots. Okay, some of us are stupid idiots. Absolutely. But, like, we're not morons. Nobody thinks that the Carolina Panthers have a shot at winning the Super Bowl. Nobody. Okay? Nobody. So stop. Just stop. You can sign there. I don't have a problem with that. But stop. Just stop.
Okay. Define window for the Super Bowl. That's my question. Obviously, this year, no. But they play in a weak division, so a playoff run is possible because of New Orleans. But do I think Carolina has the goods to win a Super Bowl? No. Do I think Adam Thielen believes it? No. But what else is he supposed to say? What else is he like
no,
right
listen,
now?
Listen, I like the program. They have good upside. They have, you know what I mean? Like they got good young talent. Maybe they're hopefully going to get a good young quarterback. Like you can say all those things and not say dumb shit like they're going to win the Super Bowl. Like get the frick out of here, man. Like here's the thing. I'll say it like this. The window to win a Super Bowl, like for the Jets and Dolphins, is like open. Like third floor of the Texas School Book Depository open. Okay? Like that's how open those windows are. All right? The Carolina Panthers window is like the window of like, I don't know, like a prison cell. You know what I mean? And like where you only get like light for 1 minute a day. Like it's not even open. Stop.
I mean, the Carolina Panthers are a team that they've made some good additions. They get the luxury of playing in a very weak division.
Who's the quarterback?
Right now, I actually think it'll wind up being – I think C.J. Stroud's going to be the number 1 pick by the Panthers, so it'll probably be C.J. Stroud. But he's going to go through some growing pains, and there's no way in hell that C.J. Stroud is going to lead them to a Super Bowl. So I do agree with you there. I mean, I think Thielen got ahead of himself, but, I mean, what else is he really going to say? I guess he just got a little too excited about playing in Carolina.
You can say stuff without being stupid. Like you can. It's okay. You don't have to. Not every team is going to win the Super Bowl, dude.
Yeah.
Not every team is going to win the Super Bowl. Just relax. Stop. Fuck.
Especially from a guy who only had 700 yards receiving because he had Justin Jefferson as one of the best wide receivers in the league. His stats could very well go down this year because that receiving core is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Outside of him and DJ Chark. All right, number 3, the Chicago Bulls announced that Lonzo Ball will have a 3rd surgery on his left knee that could cost him the entire 23-24 season and raises concerns about Ball's ability to resume his career. Lonzo has not played since January 14, 2022, and was averaging 13 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and shooting 42% from three-point range. But according to ESPN, Ball still can't run, cut, or jump pain-free. Being as though he signed a guaranteed contract for about $180 million, Matt, should the owners look for more leeway in protecting themselves on contracts like his in the next CBA?
I mean, I think they will, and I think they do. I think a lot of these contracts are insured somehow, right? Like, there's got to be some protection there. Let me just say this real quick. It's just sad. Like, forget what you think about the Balls, right? Like, the father might be a tool, but the kids don't seem like jerks. They seem like good dudes. And, like, it just sucks, man. Like, because that guy was, like, that guy was a really good classic point guard, right? He was a very good passer. Like, he wasn't a great shooter, good ball handler, good passer. And it just sucks, man. Like, it just sucks. Like, your knee just don't work at 26 years old. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Tough.
It really is.
It's tough. And he is a big part of the Bulls offense, whether you want to believe it or not. And now he's out, which means that I don't know if that triggered the DeMar DeRozan trade when they made it. I don't know if they had Ball first and then DeRozan came in like right after. I don't know if that was like a big 3 type of thing in Chicago. But I don't want to say that this kid's career is over. but it's not looking very promising at this point because, I mean, 3 surgeries in 2 years.
And you're still not pain free.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
running and cutting. Like, if you want to say you're not pain free cutting, okay, that's fine. That's one thing. But you're not pain free running, just straight lines like that. That can't be good.
I mean, I don't know if that's a case of the surgery just didn't go as well as you had hoped, if that's something that was going to be 100% effective. But and on top of that, you were mentioning the balls before. LaMelo's hurt. I think LaMelo Ball's out for the season too. I think he broke his wrist or something like that.
And LaMelo has just had weird injuries like that. It's not been muscle stuff. It's been like he broke his foot or he breaks a wrist or you know what I mean? Like it's been just weird ass injuries, just crazy, just random shit. It really has.
All right, number 4, Jimmy Garoppolo has been offered free sex for life from the Chicken Ranch brothel in Las Vegas now that he's a member of the Raiders. I so dropped the ball on this. I should have had you get like a chicken noise. I'm so pissed that I just forgot to do that. Caitlin Bell, one of the workers at the brothel, told TMZ Sports, quote, "He deserves free sex for life from us just because he's such a legit babe. I'm going to go all the way to inspire Jimmy to go all the way," end quote. While he was a member of the 49ers, Garoppolo went on a date with porn star Kiara Mia in 2018. Maddie, is this an offer Jimmy Garoppolo can't nor shouldn't refuse?
I mean, I'm not sure Jimmy G has a problem getting the ladies to be with him sexually, right? Like, I'm just not sure that he needs to go to the Chicken Ranch to get satisfaction. Now, maybe that's his deal. Maybe he likes the stuff that they do at the Chicken Ranch. I don't know. Nor do I care. I don't question these things. Do what you do. Like what you like. But I'm just saying that Jimmy G, now listen, I've never been good looking. So I have no idea, you know what I mean, how easy it must be for Jimmy G to get women. But, like, he doesn't need the Chicken Ranch to offer him free sex. He just doesn't. It just seems weird. And also, I don't know what a true B is. What the hell does that mean? What the hell is a true B?
Okay, I'm going to say, if you're not married, if you don't have a girlfriend, you don't want to be tied down to anything, and you just want to get laid, and this is what they're offering, have at it.
I mean,
enjoy yourself, and trust me, maybe it'll help them get over a loss because they'll be doing a lot of losing this year in Vegas. Maybe it'll help them a little bit more.
Did you ever see the people that go into the Chicken Ranch? Did you ever watch that show? Did you ever see the homunculus mongoloids that go into that friggin' place?
Yeah, I thought what was funny about that show was that they would try to like make it sound like it was like the greatest job ever.
Yeah.
I was like, no fucking way.
Meanwhile, you gotta get with Billy Joe Jim Bob and his 18-year-old kid, Billy Joe,
okay. You edited the footage down. Now show me the raw footage of the people that walk in there every day. And then come talk to me if you really think. Then you see the girl going, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's really great.
You got some old dude, it's like go to a strip club, folks. Go to a strip club and look at the guys in the strip club that are there that are the regulars of the strip club. Okay? None of them are winners.
Yeah.
Just gonna say it that way.
The girls are on off camera going, do I have to do it with the dog again?
Yeah. Oh, brutal.
Jimmy, whatever floats your boat, man. If you get it for free, have at it. Have fun. Do what you got to do.
I
I'll help you get over a loss a lot quicker.
I guess.
All right, number 5, Rick Pitino was officially named the new head coach at St. John's this week, and in his introductory press conference, he bluntly stated that the roster will look very different from last year's team, coached by Mike Anderson. Well, a lot of those players probably won't be back on this team because they're probably not a good fit for me, end quote, he said, alluding to a basketball-first mindset. Maddie, was this Pitino's way of saying the players on the Red Storm stopped?
Probably. If you recall, Deion Sanders said basically the same thing when he took over the job in Colorado. He was like, there's going to be a lot of turnover. A lot of people that aren't going to be here anymore. And you know what? There should be a lot of turnover because you know what? The players at St. John's do suck. Have they been good the last 40 years?
Nobody wants to go there anymore. Like nobody, it's not the days of Chris Mullen and Mark Jackson. Those days are long, long gone. We already know that. I don't even remember. I mean, yeah, the St. John's had a couple of teams in the tournament, but they didn't last very long.
Right.
And they just don't I don't think it's a case of whether they recruit well or not. I just don't think they have the means like other NCAA teams do.
Well, now they do.
You know, I mean, if you're going to St. John's, you're going to play for 4 years, basically. Like, whereas if guys who go to Florida, Duke, Ohio State, all these other big teams, they're gone after a year, and they probably sleepwalk through the school year anyway because they know they're going pro.
But now they have the ultimate in used car salesman head coaches in Rick Pitino, who's going to bring in the NIL money and go crazy.
I mean, I think Pitino will be very good for St. John's. I mean, he was very good for Iona. But,
dude, man, please, let's get some college basketball back around here because it sucks.
But I definitely think this was his way of saying that they're just it's just garbage. Like the recruiting was just flat out garbage. Like, have you ever seen the movie Ladybugs with Rodney Dangerfield?
Yeah.
He's coaching the soccer team.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, how many people are here from last year's team?" And only one girl gets up. That's it. One. Like that's pretty much what you have. There's only one guy that's returning to St. John's. The rest of the team's going to be completely different going into next season, and watch them be a lot more competitive. All right. And finally, number 6, 5 months ago, Kyrie Irving was suspended for 8 games for what the Nets deemed as a failure to disavow anti-Semitism. And while we all know the sordid details of why he was suspended, Jaylen Brown never agreed with the suspension. Brown, who is VP of the Players Union, believes the suspension violated the current CBA and he found it inappropriate. Quote, "I think it was like a public ransom note where he had a list of demands he had to do to return to the game. It's a violation of our agreement and kind of got looked over like it was nothing." End quote. Matt, in your opinion, would Jaylen Brown use this defense for players not in the same league talent-wise as Kyrie Irving?
No, because I mean, did he come out for what was the white dude who was using anti-Semitic slurs? Plays for the Bucks now. Dang it. Myers Leonard, thank you. Yeah, they didn't come out in defense of Myers Leonard, did they? No. But here's the other thing, man. Like, maybe sit this one out, right? Like, maybe, just maybe sit this one out, okay? Like, you don't need to open your mouth every time, Jaylen Brown. You don't. And you're also not smarter than everybody else either. And yeah, maybe it kind of violated the whole thing. But you know what? That dude also just sat out games because he wanted to go to a birthday party and crap like that. So, like, you know what? Maybe it's like tit for tat here. He stole some money. They stole some money. Everybody stole some money. So, like, maybe just leave it alone because the whole thing was volatile to begin with. It was very anti-Semitic and spurred some anti-Semitic things that happened here in New York after that. The certain like vandalism and stuff that happened at some temples and things like that. So, like, just stop, man. Kyrie got over it. Just get over it. Like, stop. We had forgotten about it until you brought it up again. Because you know what? You always go, well, we didn't collectively bar. Stop. Just stop, please. That's why people hate unions. That shit right there.
Well, that's exactly my point. Here's my question. If the roles were reversed and it was a white guy, white basketball player, tweeting out or sending out via Instagram a link to a movie that could be deemed racist towards African Americans, would Jaylen Brown run to this guy's defense and say, "Oh, well, it violates the CBA and all that stuff"?
Is he as good as Kyrie?
That's my point. But that's another part of it.
If he's as good as Kyrie, he does.
Do you think if it's Luka Doncic, but if it's not?
I do, because
what if it's Isaiah Harden? What if it's Isaiah Hartenstein?
No, then he's got no shot.
And that's not a knock on the Knicks, by the way. That's the first white.
You're not wrong. What I'm saying is that I think that for Jaylen Brown, because I think what it is that it's about the union rules for him all out.
Sure.
And the other thing too is Jaylen Brown seems like another one of these Kyrie guys that like believes everything he reads on the internet. That's all the wrong stuff. Mm-hmm. And doesn't believe all the stuff that's all the right stuff.
But there are things that are bigger than basketball, and this is one of them because you literally went after I don't know if Kyrie Irving inadvertently went after them, but it was obvious he had an axe to grind with Jewish people because I don't think he would have spun that any other way. But it was kind of like, you know what? He should have just taken it and said, you know what? I really messed up. I'll take the suspension and be done with it. Whereas Jaylen Brown is sitting there going, well, wait a minute. You know, this is all like he had to do all these hurdles and he still got suspended. And I understand Jaylen Brown's point, but like there are just things that are bigger than basketball, just from PR standpoint, from a personality standpoint, all that stuff matters more sometimes than just whether you can get on the court and play ball. And I think that that's what Jaylen Brown is missing in the whole thing, is that an entire religion of people were completely offended. They were harassed and everything. And all Jaylen Brown gives a shit about is the CBA rules.
Yeah.
I just think it's bigger than that. You know, when I worked in the hotel in Manhattan and I had to deal with a hotel union, those guys sometimes would come into the hotel plastered for work. They come in plastered. And they would like operate machinery. It wasn't like, you know, they weren't just like sweeping the floor. They were like operating machinery, and we would call them out on it. And you had to go through all these freaking hurdles just to get the guy in trouble. Like you had to go through an arbitration hearing, and you had to go to this guy before you finally went to what they call an impartial chairman. And the impartial chairman makes the final decision on if the guy should be fired, the guy should be suspended, or whatever. It just goes through like appeal after appeal after appeal. The thing is, while I understand Jaylen Brown's standing as the Players Union vice president, there's just so many things bigger than basketball sometimes. And like you said, you just got to like sit this one out and just be like, what's done is done. But to sit there and say, well, you know, I don't agree with it because it violated what violated our league rules. I'm like, oh, go fuck yourself. It's like, you know, you fucking rules can shove it up your ass.
Yeah.
So, all right. In case you missed it, is officially over.
Woohoo!
Did you watch the grid this week? I could not find a story that was deemed worthy enough to be on the show. And this episode of The Polar Opposites is over. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, whether on, Jesus, I totally forgot. Spotify,
everywhere.
Apple, Spreaker, Maddie, anywhere with a pulse where you get your podcast is where you're going to.
Twitter at Polar Oppo, Instagram at Polar Oppo Pod, YouTube at Polar Oppo Pod. Check us out. We'll also have a polarizing take at this point this week as well, so you can enjoy that as well.
So on behalf of Matt, this is Craig. This has been the Polar Opposites podcast. Wherever you are, stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. Take care, everybody. Have a great one.
Bye.